Computers are quite good at being perfect. They can create perfectly uniform images and textures, and can synchronize animations to a degree which humans cannot.
Well, I don't think there is any question about it. It can only be attributable to human error.
It is quite easy for a computer to create a 3D model of a person that is perfectly sized and whose skin has no imperfections, and then to create 1,000 copies of this person
I can make 1,000,000 of these!
and then have all the copies march around at the same time. But as perfect as that is, it's not realistic. In order to make computer-generated effects more realistic, they must not seek a uniform perfection, but instead a level of perfect imperfections that will allow them to be more like the physical, imperfect world. In her writing entitled The Digital Multitude, Kristen Wissel said, "In films with multitudes, there is often a tension between uniformity and the degree of differentiation required to ensure that each agent appears on screen as a unique individual that is an autonomous part of an aggregate. Hence, at the level of production, animators and software designers have created programs that help ensure that each digital being has a measure of uniqueness, including some variation in size, weight, gait, fighting style, choice of weaponry, costuming, etc., even when physiognomic similarity is one of the defining features of the group." Whistle is talking about how, when special effects teams want to create digital multitudes, there is a challenge to make the multitudes uniform enough to form a multitude, and yet distinct enough to appear realistic. If the orcs in Peter Jackson's 2003 film Return of the King had all marched into battle in perfect synchronization, it would not have been realistic. But on the other side of the scale, if they had all scattered in different directions rather than charged into battle, that would also not make for a realistic battle scene. To make the scene realistic, animators had to work towards that perfect level of imperfection between complete uniformity and complete chaos. Computers could easily have made all the orcs march with perfect unison, but in order to make the mass of thousands of orcs march each in a distinct, non-repeating way, special software had to be used, which allowed for the realistic battle scene used in the movie. Even when a viewer cannot distinguish what is wrong with the scene, the human mind can become quite disturbed when it notices unnatural repeating animations. In the case of Return of the King, the animators used a software called Massive to achieve their ideal level of imperfection for the orcs. Massive allows each individual actor to be animated individually based on an artificial intelligence algorithm which decides what animations make sense for each individual character, and ensures that there is not too much uniformity. These issues of creating perfect imperfections for the sake of realism occur not just on the massive scale of massive armies charging into battle, but also on the smaller scale of skin textures. Again, computers can easily generate uniformity. In this case, a skin texture that is perfectly uniform with no imperfections. But it is much more difficult for a computer program to create realistic skin pores and imperfections. Even when generating pores, they have to be just the right amount of non-uniform, while still not being entirely randomized. Even small amounts of deviation from the amount of imperfections in a physical human skin becomes noticeable on a digital model, making it necessary for realistic computer-generated characters to have the perfect imperfections that mark real life. Elaborate programs have been produced over the years that help to reach these perfect imperfections. Massive was referenced above, and is used for making masses of digital actors, each controlled individually by artificial intelligence. Massive and other programs have been used to reach more perfect imperfections in a variety of situations. For example, grass or leaves waving in the wind, cars driving on a highway, the hairs on an animal, stars in outer space, waves in the ocean, and the texture for the water of the ocean itself. Each one of those examples needs to have these perfect imperfections in order to look realistic and believable. And so the future of realistic computer-generated effects will involve striving towards achieving these perfect imperfections.
By all the sacred parchments of Pashtima! Oh, shit! I can never get that last one right.